Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Our Sinclair. It's two wacky, sort of tubby, hairy Americans take.
Sort of tubby?
Listen, let me finish this.
Oh, sorry.
It's a wacky look at the very renowned, very popular ZX Spectrum from our good friends in the UK. I am Amigo Aaron, joined as always by a man who just keeps butting into my intros. It's the Brent.
Sorry.
You can't hold back, can you?
Detest lies.
You can't hold back. Listen, we can in some parts of the world we're considered spelled.
No, no.
Well, I mean, compared to like polar bears.
On a galactic scale, maybe.
There you go. So yes, we're back once again this week. Another episode of Our Sinclair, and this one I got to tell you, the Brent. This is a game I've never heard of, not even once.
No.
And it's called a Bugaboo The Flea. Bugaboo The Flea. Now, in doing a little research on Bugaboo, I've determined that this game may be one of your original like speed run type games. This is a game that you have to complete. You try to complete in a certain amount of time, as quick as you can. And these games have become more prevalent in recent years than they were in the intervening years between then and now. With the and really, it sort of started with the early phone games and then moving up to these games that have simple controls and require you to try to beat times on them.
Well, I think you're way off.
Okay, go ahead.
These are precision games. And
Is that what this is?
Yeah, this is all about beating the system. The system is the game. Getting over it is on the same level of this type of game. I mean, you could sort of say like Super Meat Boy, but I don't put those in the same category. You have easy to understand objectives, and there's only one. It's get to the top or get to the goal. But the game itself is what fights you on accomplishing that goal. And for example, in the modern times, I think Getting Over it's probably the most popular, where you are a man in a cauldron with a sledgehammer, and you have to climb high enough to eject yourself into space. And the reason why the game is difficult is the controls are all these mouse controls of how you swing the hammer, and the environment is designed specifically to have you succeed for a small while and then fall, and so you have to do it all again. It's all about overcoming your frustrations, getting used to the controls, and using that to overcome the next objective. And then usually, like for Getting Over it, you'll have a small section that will use one type of movement to accomplish the goal. And then the next section might be a different type of movement you've got to kind of figure out and control. It's not that the controls actually change. It's just what you're doing, how you have to accomplish your goal to get to the next part has changed. And then it's designed for you to fail. It's designed for you to get to a certain point and then fall and have to start back over. And Bugaboo, I would say is probably the first game of this type.
You know, one thing I will say is after I do a lot of work in actual prisons.
Yeah.
You know that. And then between the prisons, I have to drive hundreds of miles. When I come home at night and I want to relax, the first thing I think I want to do is like, I can play a relaxing game, maybe some Tetris, something like that. But no, I want to play something that's frustrating and I repeatedly fail on. That's the game I'm going to fire up.
Well,
it's never what I say.
Well,
I never would. So it amazes me that these games have caught on. I know this sort of game is kind of big in the indie scene.
No, they're not big. I mean,
they've got their fans. I see them all the time on YouTube.
I mean, some people even would say something like Elden Ring or Dark Souls. That type of game is a precision game, and I would disagree because there are multiple ways to go about achieving your goal. And now Elden Ring, Dark Souls, that type of game, they're difficult. They're designed to be difficult. So I get where somebody might call them a precision game. A precision game is just something I've called them. But these the Bugaboo and Getting Over it, completely different. completely different style of game. It's all about overcoming the controls, and you have one objective. Or something like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, there's multiple objectives, multiple things to do. I like the precision games that are just what laser focused. Those, I mean, they're made to be frustrating, but overcoming something, Aaron, is very fulfilling for some people.
The problem is if you can't overcome it, then you're a failure.
Well,
Nobody wants to feel like a failure, more like a failure, I should say. No, I want to ask you something else. That again,
and I can understand this is not the type of game for everyone.
you are the first person I ever talked to that really got into speed running games.
Right.
Speed running games. Now, this game had I've seen plenty of people try to knock this thing out as quickly as possible.
Yes.
There's a speed run element to this game.
There is. It
Now,
has a built-in clock.
do you recall any games earlier than this that would get speed run? I mean, is anyone speed running like Gorilla.Bass or
Everything? Every game is a speedrun game now. The speedrunning community is so massive and so all-inclusive. Literally every single game that exists is now a speedrun game. People will find a way to speedrun it, whether it means glitching it and breaking it, or just trying to play the game as normal as quickly as possible. I understand what you're saying when you're saying this is a speedrun game.
Sure.
Bugaboo is a speedrun game. And it is. It has a clock. That is sort of the high score table.
Correct.
Is to see how fast you can do it. But I do not believe that is the focus of the game. I think the focus of the game is being a precision game. I don't think most people are going to play this as a speedrun game.
I think almost everyone plays it as a speedrun game, especially if you've owned it for more than a couple weeks.
Well, but what doesn't? I mean, you play Super Mario Brothers, Nintendo original, right?
Yeah.
At some point, didn't you try to beat that as quick as possible?
Nope.
Oh, well, there you
Well,
go.
What's a hurry? That's the way I look at it. Because I'm a laid back guy. I'm not in a hurry.
Even in my youth, when I was middle school, we would play Super Mario Brothers to see who could beat it the fastest.
Yeah.
I could beat it in 8.5 minutes.
Oh,
which, I mean, in modern standards is nothing. That's garbage tier. But back then, it was way faster than anyone else could do it. So that's why I'm saying any game can be a speedrun game. I don't think this is particularly built to be a speedrun game.
I think it's exactly built to be a speedrun game. But enough conjecture. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here.
All right.
Of the Bugaboo. Now, this one, again, I'd never heard of this bad boy until this week. But apparently, it was a pretty popular game of its year. So, Bugaboo The Flea, developed by, well, you could call them Indus Comp, but it was Paco Suarez and Paco Portillo developed this. And this game, I've read several places that this game was one of the games, if not the game, that sort of sparked the industry in Spain to start cranking out the programs, the games, the gaming industry. This is one of the big forerunners of the Spanish game, which we played some of the games that came out of Spain. And so they were putting out some decent stuff back in the day. Again, this came out in October of 83, and it was published by Quicksilva. Quicksilva did some pretty good stuff, including Ant Attack, Sector 90, Hocus Pocus, Max Headroom, Tantalus, and a ton of other games. Again, I mentioned designers were Paco Suarez and Paco Portillo. Now, Paco Suarez really did the bulk of the game. He also did, I guess, the sequel, which is La Pulga 2, and he also did Galactic Plague. Paco Portillo, as far as I can tell, there's an effect at the beginning of this game where, like, a planet zooms into view. You know that with an annoying noise.
Yeah.
I believe he's credited with that effect. I think that's what he did.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. And we'll get into the opening here in a minute. The cover artwork for the cassette was done by David John Rowe. This came out on a decent amount of various systems. Of course, you had the Speccy version. You had the C64, the Amstrad CPC, the MSX, and somebody also ended up porting this over to the ZX81, if you can believe that. It's a very basic form of the game. This game retailed when it debuted for £6, 95p. on cassette. And
That's a lot.
£6, 95p. You got to pay the big money for this one. This would run on the 48K. This was one player only and keyboard only on the ZX. I will say,
keys, I might add.
I will say, if you're playing this at home, of course, you can use any number of ways to patch in your joystick controls or whatever. I did play this with the keyboard.
Oh yeah.
Of course, the keys on an American modern keyboard are quite a bit different than the ZX keys. So I did remap the keys you need. There is no remapping tool in game either.
No, boo.
In fact, this game has a scant few options when you fire it up. So just for fun, I grabbed the flavor text, Brent, of this.
Oh man, this is going to be horrible, isn't it?
If you're down to hear it,
yeah, hit me with it.
So now I'm not gonna lie to you. This it's a little lengthy, but I'll try to whip through it as quick as I can. This is directly from the inside cover of the cassette. It says, "Bugaboo, we love you." That's the first thing it says in big bold letters. Down through the inky spaces between worlds we fell, the ether whistling past, down into the blue world below. We fell, landing easily on a shelf of rock. Alien vegetations pointed colorfully upwards toward the stars from whence we came. Sprung! An alien world a million light years from home. And what a strange life we find here. We ought to look over the suns as they set in the clouds of boiling vapors. The moon slowly gained dominance in the night sky. Sprung! The planet's surface is cold now. We're going to retire for the night. Tomorrow we will explore the strange. We all feel as though we are being watched. Silly, really. New planets can do that to a person. Sprung! Now out, jump, Bugaboo. Now gone. They have out, Bugaboo. From depths darkest goes hippity hop up to the sky, almost fly. Now what think you of Bugaboo? Caves and ledges, up to hop, though I no fly. I am me, Bugaboo and Flea, you see. Bugaboo, we love you. Bugaboo, people too. Save the monster, me, else I be a very sad flea. Sprung. There you go. The poetic, almost tear-jerking inlay text for the game.
I never thought a backstory could make me hate a game more. But here we are.
I think someone was waxing poetic that day.
I think they were waxing something.
And sometimes you're thinking to yourself, man, Aaron can't read. No, that's the way that was written. It was. It's a little off there. But so that sort of hides what this game truly is. But before we get to the game proper, let's just talk about the opening of this game, which is, I guess, sort of famous because it does have an opening. We mentioned that in the beginning of this game, you're sort of flying through space, and then up comes a small blue dot provided by Paco Portalo that slowly hones into view. It's quite an effect as this dot gets larger and larger, and accompanying it is a hideous sound. A sound no computer should make. A high-pitched whine that comes along with it before you finally are fully engulfed in the blue as you land on the planet. So the Flea arrives. Now this is some further backstory here. The Flea arrives on board of a space probe on the Celbola 7 planet. Okay, and there's a cutscene where the Flea's out screwing around. Right? It just shows the Flea.
Yep. Flea
is a little. Let's run him like a frog than a flea, if you want the honest truth.
It does, but
this could have been Bugaboo the frog. But Bugaboo is hopping around in this alien world, very colorful alien world, and whoops, he bonks his head a bunch of times. And finally, he jumps over, bonks his head, and falls deep into an alien pit that has, into a series of underground caves.
Yes.
And so your goal after the intro is over. By the way, this intro takes a while. Now thankfully you can skip it.
Yes.
But it takes a while. Your goal is to navigate your Bugaboo the Flea, out of these underground caverns and back up to the surface. This game has only a few controls you need to know, but really, it's got left and right, and we'll get into how that works. But it also, you can scroll the screen in every direction, which is a help. That does help. It does. Well, I'm not saying you have to use it, but I used it, when I was playing, because I wasn't very good. And then, so your goal is to guide Bugaboo out of these caves. Now, it sounds simple, right?
No.
Well, Bugaboo is one heck of an Olympic level leaper. All right, he's a flea, and I think everyone knows fleas have an incredible leaping ability, and so does Bugaboo. Now, how do you do this? Well, at the bottom of the screen is a series of dots. Okay, on the ZX version, and when you hit the left or the right button, the meter starts filling up. Sort of like a golf game in a lot of ways. And then depending on how far you want to jump, it's when you want to hit the button again or when you want to let go of the button to start him on his journey of whichever direction you're going. It's a meter, basically. You're filling a meter. Now, if you hold the button down and it goes up to the top, it starts over and over and over. So if you miss where you want to jump the first time, if you keep it held down, it will eventually get to the point where you want to let it go. Now, the underground cavern system is filled with many ledges and vegetation and whatnot, and for your guy to jump on. But it also has one bad thing, and that's a dragon that flies around. I'm assuming it's a very tiny dragon or a very large flea, because the dragon will hone in on you, and if he gets hold of you, you're done.
Yeah.
In a very graphic scene where he eats the flea. And then that's the end of your game. You get one shot at it before you have to start the game over here. Again, this is very modern indie game of this sort, like in a lot of ways to me. Those games just hit start over, over and over, and that's what this game is. I will say, once you get going, you can start over pretty quick. You don't have to set through it could be a lot worse.
It could.
That's the game. That's all there is to it. Let's start with the way the game looks and the intro. What did you think of this intro? And what did you think of the overall graphical fidelity of this particular title?
Well, I did not know I was supposed to be impressed with the blue orb scaling.
It was 83
scaling intro, because I did not find it that impressive.
Well, listen, it's not Shadow of the Beast, but I'm just saying, or Blood Money. But I'm saying it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's okay.
No, it really wasn't.
Okay.
But once you actually get to the planet and the little pre-play cutscene of Bugaboo jumping around, that's fine. That was cute. I was confused because I thought I was playing.
I did too. I thought it actually started the game. Yeah, I was the same way.
I was like, man, I'm jumping around like an idiot. What's going on? And then the game started, and I'm like, man, I'm jumping around like an idiot.
I was wishing I was jumping around as good as I did the opening.
But the game looks good. It does have character with shrooms and plant life and rocks. The cliffs are just hanging in space. The background is just black. I guess it's to have that cave feel. And there's zero color clash.
Yeah, and it is colorful too.
Yeah, the platforms are they didn't try to go with browns and grays. They went with very vibrant purples and reds and blues. So yeah, the game looks very attractive.
So when you begin playing the game, the first thing you're going to have to do is acquaint yourself with the jumping meter, because that's the game. This is one of those games we talk about all the time, where the controls are the game. The controls are the game in this one. You'll notice that if you jump in the right spot, your guy will sail up into infinity. I mean, he'll really jump really far.
Yeah.
And but on the flip side, you can get caught in little areas where you can't jump at all, and it's quite frustrating. So how did your early run? I don't know how well you did at this game at the end of the day, but when you first started, how did you do?
Well, when I first started, I broke my own rule a little bit, And the very first thing I did was start watching a video about this.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as the guy said, because I watched the intro on the YouTube, and as soon as the guy said, "This is a game like getting over it and the controls of the game," I stopped because I said I want to experience this for myself. Because if you know too much going into a game like this, sometimes it can ruin it. So I loaded up the game and I looked at the controls that it was giving me. 1 is to jump left, 0 is to jump right. And then there are keys to move the screen around.
They're all number keys.
But
Yeah,
you don't need it.
I used them.
You don't need it. I mean,
It helps when you want to see where you're going to land.
Well,
Also,
no,
to see where the dragon's at.
no.
Okay.
Now, I understand what you're saying, but I'll come back to that. So my very first jump, I sailed a mega mile. I must have hit the exact sweet spot
Yeah.
that sent Bugaboo into orbit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the crap just happened?
Yeah.
Because I was expecting him to take normal hops, grid-like hops.
Sure.
That was not the case. And shortly after that, I got eaten by the dragon. I was like, okay, I kind of understand what I'm getting into here. I could never get him to jump small jumps unless I let the meter wrap all the way around.
Yeah.
And this meter flies.
It is fast. And I thought maybe it was because of the emulation or something. So I went and checked. Nope. It's not.
Yeah,
it's real fast.
It's just how it is. And it achieves this by putting up the meters say
the length of the screen.
20
the
lights,
width. Yeah.
20 or 25 lights long. And when you hit the button, if you tap the button as fast as you can, it's 4 lights.
Yeah.
So it's not going up one at a time like you might think. It's going up sections at a time.
Usually when you try to jump a short jump, you just hope you're going to ram your head into something fairly close.
So what I found is if you want to do extremely long jumps, you have to be mega precise. If you want to do extremely short jumps, you have to make mega precise. And the middle is not a middle in your jumping power. The middle ranges from you're going to jump really far to holy crap, you're gone. Okay?
Yes.
So making small, minute movements is very, very difficult. Unless, of course, like you said, you run into an object. With that in mind, I was just like, all right, screw this. I'm basically going to full send it every time.
Right.
And I think I think that's how you have to play the game. I honestly do. Because you can't rely on little jumps. Because if you try to little jump and you're off by even a little bit, he will jump to the stratosphere. So I started contemplating what path I can take making monster jumps. And that's how I played the game. Did you have a different experience?
Well, yeah. This game falls well in line with what we talked about earlier. It's frustrating as all get out.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Small jumps are virtually impossible.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when you let the meter run all the way through in the hopes of getting that small jump, almost inevitably you'll accidentally stop it during the biggest conceivable jump and not get the small jump. Anytime I would make any progress in this game or think I was getting a hang of it, that godforsaken dragon hones into view. And the thing is, he'll come after you. If he's on the screen with you, he's coming.
Yeah. And you can hide. You can put yourself in a crevice or something that he can't get to, and then he'll just fly off.
But he is inevitable. I mean, he's everywhere, it seems like. And there's nothing more frustrating than having a real good run and when you're near the top and that sucker eats you. It's the worst.
It's not fun.
I played this game for a while, and I thought to myself, my God, I'm having this much trouble on the first stage. I can't imagine what stages 2, 3, 4, and 5 are like.
Neither could the designers.
So I went. So we have a good buddy, Hermsky. He's one of our good friends. He's been one of our supporters for a long time. He's got a channel, Back to 8-Bit with Hermsky. I recommend you add that to your to your YouTube channel selection. Hermsky did a video on this, and so like, I was like, I know if I could trust anybody to help me, it's the Hermster. So I went to watch his video, and he beat this game in 41 seconds. And I've read that people can beat it in 11 seconds. Guess who can't beat it that quick? Me.
Did you ever get
I
to the
never
top?
got to the top.
It took me about 40 minutes, but I did finally beat it.
And I got to the very, very last jump, and then I missed, and then got eaten. This game angered me a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to hurt people
Yeah.
when I played it. And the thing is, I mean, so I look at this game, okay? This is one of those games. If I play this thing for a solid like 4 or 5 hours, or not, you know, in a period of days, I think I could get good enough to beat the level. I was pretty close, all right, because that's about what I played. And
oh my God, you played this for 5 hours?
not at once. No. This is a game I just left running, and I would come into our room and I'd try it again. I had to leave, and so I mean, is this as frustrating as a game as like Manic Miner or Jet Set? Well, no, it's
Different.
not that frustrating.
It's different.
It's but also since it's not very deep. When you die, you don't want to just jump off a cliff. You just start again, but it's still irritating when you get close. But the thing I don't get about these games is, like, if you had this game if I paid £6.95 for this game, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of kids could beat this level in the first day. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And which is baffled me. I'm like, why did you not make more levels? You could have made infinite numbers of levels here.
Yeah.
Why did you not make more? I was baffled by the brevity. I mean, think about this. There's a guy out there that can play this game and beat it in its entirety in 11 seconds. Even by 1983 standards, that's low end, in my opinion. But I mean, otherwise, given the limitations of the Specky, is the game playable? Is it fun? Sorta. Is it satisfying to get a long jump? Yeah. How is the scrolling? Well, I mean, it's not the best, but it's
not smooth.
No, it's not smooth. Basically, the screen scrolls up while your guy stays where he's at, and the screen sort of catches up to him. It's sort of janky, but it works. And they did a good job. There's no music at all, and there's
beeps and
boops, obviously. Of course, this is 48K. And Roy, you couldn't have put this. There's no reason to make a musical version of this. I mean, you could have. It's funny. I tried the C64 version of this, and it's got a full musical number that goes on behind it, and it bugged me. I think I got used to not having the music, and so I didn't want the music.
Yeah.
I looked at. I don't know if you looked at the other versions of
I
this.
did not.
I looked at I looked at every version. I looked at the Amstrad version, like the Amstrad version, the C64 version, the MSX version. They're all more colorful, and the platforms are like sort of pseudo 3D on a couple of them, But at the end of the day, like, they were slower and they weren't as clean as this game. If I'm going to play one, it's probably going to be the Specky version because I want a good. This game has clean, precise lines. You can tell what's happening. I don't necessarily need pseudo 3D in this.
Right.
I'd rather have it be. And I will say that no music in this case. You're in a cave. It's sort of, to me, I'd rather have no music on this one. I usually complain about that, but I don't want any music. Then once I had music, I found out I didn't want it, so I don't want any. But it's funny on like one of the versions. I think it was a C64 version. Like when you get out of the planet, it's still not over. You've got to jump back to a certain point on the top of the planet. I don't know why they didn't put that in here. That would have made more sense. When you get out of this one, the screen just goes bananas, and then you get to put your name in. But there's not. I mean, like, there's not any progression on this. I mean, when you leave, it's not like you do the same level again and they add more enemies or something. They don't. That's the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the gaming experience, and this is a shot glass of gaming. If the shot glass, like, was on a conveyor belt and you had to quickly grab it and try to drink as fast as you can while you're on a conveyor belt, it's a small, annoying batch of game.
I'm not a huge fan of these precision games. I play them. Some are better than others. And I really think that level design has a lot to do with the enjoyment of these type of games. I thought the level design in this was okay at best. I found a route that worked for me that got me to the top.
So you use the same route every time?
Yes.
Not me.
And once I found that route, because I could get up there in like 15 jumps. And I never felt like I was in control. I never felt like I was getting better. I never felt like I could do this every time.
Yeah.
Because the meter goes so fast, you're basically throwing yourself in a general direction that you want to go, and you hope that you end up there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good game design. But when I did get to the top, and I didn't. My timer wasn't 40 minutes. I played probably 3 dozen times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's no way you'd play one round for 40 minutes.
I think I ended up. My time was something like 4 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was just because you fall,
You miss. Yeah.
you have to do it again. When I got to the top and I won, right? I was very angry that there was not more.
Yeah, at least why not a cutscene at the end where you make it? Your guy gets away.
And that's when you were talking about the intro, reading the artsy.
You want me to read it again?
No.
Oh.
The reason why that made me so angry was it felt like they spent more time writing that than they did making this a good game. And this is let me back up.
Sounds like a burial.
This is a fine game for what it is. But when you are going to charge full price for a game that is one level, and I understand that it's supposed to be difficult and you're supposed to take time to get through it and get better at it. I get all that. But one level is really, really inexcusable.
Take the price point out of it. I agree with you, by the way. But it's 2024. We're playing this game. In 2024, what do you think of this game?
99 cents.
No. I don't mean money-wise.
No, this is a 99 cents game.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, it is different.
I'm never going to pick this up
now,
on my own and play this.
You know something I thought about when I was playing this? I thought about you quite a bit when I was playing this. And I thought to myself, what this game needs is they get the controls wrong, okay? You've got 2-button controls and a meter. Make it like track and field.
Yeah.
Now, that would be...
It would have been a better game.
It would be more precise for sure jumping, and you would be the master of this game. You'd be to jump out of the pit in the first round. The King Dong of that stuff.
The dragon, having the dragon flying...
He's cool looking.
Unnecessary.
I like when the dragon gets you, and then you're in its stomach. That's also funny.
I thought the dragon was unnecessary. It was very much oh crap, we have to have an enemy.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he shows up when you run out of time or get to X amount of time on the clock. He just randomly flies around the level, and sometimes he'll get you. Sometimes you and him will be in the same spot at the same time. Now,
You gotta have the dragon, though. Because otherwise, this game would be exactly the same every single time you play it. He's the only variance in the game. Otherwise, there's no variance at all.
But here's the thing, Aaron. If you're playing it, let's say you're playing this game to try to get a top score.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to be like, oh, crap, there's the dragon. I need to go this way now. You're going to get eaten, and you're going to start over.
No, I say, oh, crap. And then, but ultimately, he usually does eat me. I'm just saying, he's the only thing that makes any round of this different than the last round. You take him out, there's no wind speed. There's no rotating or moving.
No, what I'm saying, Aaron, is if you were playing this for a high score, and he showed up, you're not going to change your game to avoid him. You're going to die and then start again. So you might as well just say 1 in 10 games you're gonna die.
Well, sometimes it's fun to jump over him and stuff. I don't agree with you on that.
I did not know. I did hide from him. I did discover you could do that.
Yeah.
But he's not. You have to have an enemy that makes you achieve something.
Well,
he doesn't make you achieve anything.
If you think about it, all right, we can both. I think we're on the same page here.
I think so.
What could make this game better? I'll tell you what, and not just more levels, right? like moving platforms, wind speed, like stuff like places where the gravity changes,
No.
anything.
I disagree with all that.
What do you mean? This is barely a game.
If you're going to do that, you have to change the controls. Now, if you change the controls, you're making a different game.
Why do you have to change the controls?
Because the controls are
You compensate in golf.
no.
When you hit that meter, you compensate for the wind.
No, the meter is far too precise to add anything like that into the game.
I disagree. I think that would be cool.
So you're telling me?
Listen, we both agree it's like a golf swing meter.
No, hold on. You're telling me of the say 30 lights at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
If I say hit this dot and you can be a dot before or a dot after it, you can do it.
No, God
okay.
no.
Then what good is having a platform that moves back and forth that you say I have to hit this dot and you have no way of actually making that happen? So, how's that going to make it more fun?
Well, no, here's the thing. I'm not against changing the speed of the dots at all.
Well, then,
but the thing is, that could be part of it. As you advance, maybe the dot speed speeds up.
But you understand, if you do that, if you change the dots, you fundamentally change the game.
It needs change. Okay. It fundamentally needs change.
Okay,
I think you missed my point here.
You want to play a different game.
I want a better game with more stuff.
Okay.
That's what I want.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
I want more stuff. I want I want something that shoots across the screen, something you got to have time to avoid it. I want moving platforms. I want areas that have different types of gravity or wind. Something like that. I don't just want this is the embodiment of one trick pony. It's got one trick pony. This is it. And the trick is jumping. That's it. That's the trick.
Well, you're supposed to get better at the controls, but I did not feel compelled to do that after I beat the one level that was there and was done.
So let's talk about how well this was received. So I found some reviews here. Crash gave this a 92%. This is a Crash smash. Like, they loved it. Your Computer gave it a 60. Home Computing Weekly gave it a 60. Although these 60s are pretty friendly 60s because I read the reviews of these. But overall, this game was well received. All right. And I think you'll understand what I mean when we take a look here at the Discord reviews. We got a ton of action on this week. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in on this one. Steve Smith leads the dance here. He says, I have very vivid memories of playing this back in the day. It's easy to see why. It has an excellent cinematic intro, which really sets the scene for the game. But overall, it's a very polished game from 1983. Although the gameplay itself is very simple and sometimes borders on frustrating. It's simplicity that makes it so replayable, incorporating the single enemy dragon to add suspense of wondering if you're going to land right in its jaws with each jump, and you have a nerve-wracking game full of tension and excitement, at least to my 8-year-old self, with modern eyes, and it's almost too simplistic and repetitive, like the Flappy Bird of its day. But like Flappy Bird, there's always the temptation to have one more go to see if you can reach the top. 8 out of 10, a classic of its time. By the way, I hate Flappy Bird. Did I ever mention that? Jigglebox chimes in. The Jigster. He says, I have faint memories of seeing and playing this as a kid, but didn't think much of it at all. However, this time around, it drew me in for that one more go. It is frustratingly addictive. Some may criticize the dragon element, but I think it's added some challenge, randomness, and surprise. I've cursed on a few occasions when it swooped in out of nowhere. Overall, 9 out of 10. Pajako, the Podge, he says, I actually bought this some years ago from a bargain bin. I had fond memories of it. Coming back to it now, Bugaboo retains its charm, but a couple hours in and a lot of cussing, I can also say that Bugaboo is let down by its inconsistency when jumping and slow restart time. Some games end very quickly due to close dragon placement, so that the restart time can really start to suck. Although I will say, if you just hit G, it pretty much starts right back up.
Well, you fall down the hole. Yeah, it's about a 10-second restart.
My reflexes for this aren't the best, so it's not all the game's fault. But I felt that even when I could get some power level from the same spot, it was hit or miss to whether Bugaboo would make the jump. Now I have seen one person complete the game in 19 seconds on YouTube, And some of the folks in the Discord managed to get it done. And while I didn't prove I never felt like I was totally in control of the game. Of the versions I checked out, the Specky version is actually the best one, as it is less punishing. The others have more hazards for starters. Despite my complaints, I don't hate Bugaboo, but it really could do with a little tweaking here and there. It has the seeds of a great game, and I would play it again for sure. Worth checking out to see something from the Wild West days of early game design, but be prepared to fail like 7 out of 10. The Hermsky, I just mentioned him. Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, chimes in. I'm so happy. A firm 7 out of 10. A game that was popular back in the 80s, but never actually played it myself until now. I remember as a teenager reading up on it, realizing it could be completed in a blink.
Yeah.
No way I was wasting my hard-earned pocket money on that ripoff, I thought. However, playing it in today's world, I was totally addicted. Yes, it can be completed in 19 seconds, and I could do it in 41 seconds. I still could not help myself but trying to beat my time. It's a game you can put on whenever you've got to spare a few minutes for a quick razz. It makes for a good competitive game with friends. It's quick and easy, just up my street. I find the characteristics of the bug jumping weirdly satisfying. Yes, it can be frustrating, but at least you don't need to plug your way through a wealth of game levels again. And lastly, no, not lastly, we've got Jed Byrne. Yeah, it is lastly. Jed Byrne writes, Bugaboo earned a crash smash in the very first issue. By the time I'd upgraded to a ZX Spectrum, we had reached issue 25, and I had nothing but contempt for old games like Bugaboo. They just seemed so janky. I'd load it up, fail to understand it, then move on to the next game on the tape. Knowing that this old Spectrum cast-off was a beloved pack-in for the Amstrad only confirmed my machine's superiority on the Playground Wars. I did not know that this was a pack-in for the Amstrad. Revisiting Bugaboo now, I see the error of my ways. 1983 was a year of bold innovation and exploration, full of unique games like nothing else that followed. Bugaboo is a curious mix of pinball, manic miners, and gorillas.bass. That's the second time that's been mentioned today. That's unbelievable. Hours are lost when you try to find the precise position and strength to fling your fleas as he leaps up to the top of a single bound. The opening animation is colorful, the grips are charming, feverish, and unmistakably spectrumy. The dragon is really, really annoying. A real gem. I'm glad I've finally played it, and I wonder what else I've missed in the giant 8-bin back catalog on the Specky and beyond. So there you go. Everyone was at least a 7 out of 10, and you had plenty of higher ratings. And as I nosed around on the internet, this seemed to be a beloved game. Beloved. And I cannot understand why, because I did not like this game that much. I thought it was okay, but I thought it was, shallow and vapid is an understatement for what this game, there's nothing happening here. There was tons left on the table here. And I would love to see a second one of these where they do more, anything more than just have the one level. I couldn't figure it out. And what really gets me is, and we've covered a lot of Specky games. One of the things that people are drawn to are these games that are epically huge. 500 rooms, they would say, 500 screens. This game, by comparison, is almost a tiny, tiny little game that a sucker can knock out. And if someone's beating this in 11 seconds, 19 seconds, 41 seconds, you know that kids of the era were cranking this thing up and crushing it quickly.
Well, I think to get to that point, you'd have to invest quite a bit of time, invest your money's worth. For me, I played it. I got to the top. I don't feel like the need to play it again. I don't want to. I don't want to invest the time to get good at the controls. Because there's nothing there for me to achieve at this point. Doing it faster.
You're a speedrun guy. You should want to go fast. Can you beat 11 seconds?
No.
You're not even going to try?
No.
Well, there you go.
Why would I do that?
I don't know. I don't know why anyone does anything. If you want to pick this up, they're going for ZX tape prices on eBay, 5, 6, 8, 7, 3. They're cheap. Obviously, they sold quite a few. I looked through my gargantuan tape collection. I don't have this one in the collection.
I think you'll be okay.
I'll be running out to grab it ASAP. But yeah, this was a real This is one of the few times where like a game that was beloved. I mean, this was like he said, this is this one of Crash Smash, the very first issue of Crash. But for me, when I see 90% and 9 out of 10s, I'm just like, I think of all the games I put on the spectrum that are like thousands and
kill it,
thousand times
yeah.
better than this, and I like for that bad things worse things happen at sea is infinitely hundreds of times better than this.
Yeah.
And it did not get scores anywhere near this good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was our game of the year on the Specky last year, and that. So of course, yeah, I'm going to compare it to the best game we played last year. But I'm just saying, you're giving this 9s and 10s out of 10. Are you kidding me? If you think about the amount of
calm
all right,
down,
you're right. You're
calm
right.
down, calm down.
There you go, everybody.
Let's talk about what's going on next week.
Next time out, we'll be back with Our Sinclair. We'll be coming back on August 11th. Now, this is going to be a ZX Next episode.
Yeah.
In conjunction with the fellows that made the game, we're going to be doing the brand new Head Over Heels game. We're going to be having a good hard look at that. I'm really looking forward to that one. And it should be a lot of fun. So that will be our next episode of Our Sinclair. It will be August 11th. Now, next week, we'll be back with another ARG Presents the branch. And we've been tasked with doing Captain Power. The Captain Power. Now, only minutes before this show is being filmed, I have won the auction for a Captain Power gunship. It's coming in the mail. It's supposed to be here early this week. So we will have the ability to play this game. And we will, by God, we're going to play it. They didn't think it was possible, but between myself and I know Pajako also bought one. So we're both morons. Because I just think to myself, what do I need to add to my room? And normally I'd be like, screw it. But I'm doing it for the show. By the way, that's your Patreon money at work. Thank you for purchasing me a used Captain Power ship gun. But I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the team. We'll be chiming in next week some Captain Power action. I don't know. We're not going to pick individual games because there's no game. It's a show.
Episodes.
So but we'll just watch some episodes and then play and try it out.
Yeah.
I will say I was correct. J. Mike Straczynski wrote a good chunk of these shows, the Babylon 5 guy. So I'm looking forward to seeing if any of his incredible writing comes out in this. I've never seen a single episode of Captain Power, not one time.
Prepare to be surprised.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Oh, surprised.
I haven't watched the whole series. But you got to remember, this was a Saturday cartoon show,
right?
So
I
curb your expectations a little bit. But
hey, I've seen some good stuff on Saturday mornings, man. So that'll be coming up next week.
You to curb your expectations.
It'll be a lot of fun. Now, Brent, now that we've put this one to bed here, what is going on in the realm of the Brent? You notice I wore this striking Boat Fest shirt, just so people, I'm like a human model here. If you're not watching, if you're listening on the radio. It's a beautiful black shirt with cartoony figures of myself and the Boat Fest crew and a big logo on it. And Brent, you're currently going through one last batch of these.
This is the last week if you do want a Boat Fest shirt and you are a Patreon member, you can send me an email or a message through Patreon or DM me through Discord or send me an email through the retrorotation@gmail.com. With a size. We will work out your address and all that stuff once I get the shirts made. But this is it. With the bulk order will be made sometime next week. So
you're going to sunset this design.
Yes. Yep.
Very good, very good. And I really do like the cartoonness of it.
Oh, yeah. HSI did great work.
HSI, if you're out there, brother.
Please contact us, man. We're worried about you.
HSI was working with the Brenton boat on a bunch of art and stuff for the boat fest, and literally he's just disappeared. We have not heard from him.
Yeah.
So we're a bit worried. So if you know HSI or if you are HSI, drop us a note, brother, so we can talk to you. What else do we have coming up? Bree, you got anything else you want to bill, plug, or speak about before it's all said and done? Before you jump in, I will say, if you're interested in, the Olympics are coming up. Did you know that? In just a few short weeks, the Big F, it all goes down in Paris and points around there. They're cleaning up the river right now for the swimmers. Hoping they can get it clean. It's still not there yet. But They're going to have the Summer Olympics are in Paris, and to celebrate this Olympiad, and really the only way you should celebrate it, I fired up every summer type game I could find on the Amiga Friday night, and I call it Amiga Olympics. Bam, trademark. So if you want to watch me struggle through Olympic events as only I can, you can tune in. And we found I mean, I filled 2 hours with these various games, and I mean, I don't just mean like we just fired up summer games. We found all kinds of Spanish only versions of the summer games, and it was wacky. We had a good time. So if you're into that, that was a disaster stream from Friday. It's up right now. We've also got more interviews coming up from Kickstart. Boat's got another one queued up. It's going to be, I think it's going to be coming out Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. If you missed last week, he did a crazy interview with Stu Cambridge. Stu is an interesting cat, real interesting, my kind of guy, and a real good interview with Stu. Boat's good at picking the brains of these fellows. So if you're interested in checking that out, it's up right now on audio and video. So I think he's going to release all these in audio form as well because they're good interviews. So that's all I've got. Oh, that's not all I got. One last thing. You know, I talked to David Z last night, our good buddy David Z.
All right.
He's a madman. He's a 3D print machine. He told me he's preparing a 30-slide presentation for the next International Computer Club. So I said, what International Computer Club? He goes, you know, the one you said you were going to announce for September. So I am formally announcing an International Computer Club for September. David, force my hand. So I will set a exact date sometime in the next week. But if you are interested in participating in the next International Computer Club, which will be in September, probably middle to late September, go ahead and start working on whatever you're doing or pondering what you want to do. We had a great turnout. It was one of the biggest events we had this year. Was the last Internet Computer Club. They came out in droves to listen to what people way smarter and more interested than us get on the International Computer Club because they've got talent. They show off their wares, what they're doing, you know. And so this should be another fun one. So everyone that's interested in participating, fire up what you got cooking. And anyone that's interested in watching it, I'll give an exact date sometime in the next week or so. What do you got?
Nope.
All right, that's all we got, then, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Our Sinclair. Join us next week for ARG Presents Captain Power. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll catch you on the flippy dippy, everybody. So until then, have a good weekend. And remember, sprong!